Everybody feels that they don't fit in, especially at this age.
First of all, what genre does your new film come under?
I chose the genre social realism.
Why is that?
The genre opens up a world of truth, and by nature it comments on real life, offering, in Samantha Lay's terms, a slice of life, showing you perhaps what the world has been ignoring and doesn't want you to see. Because it's a harsh reality and blockbusters don't really want to represent that. An example of this is that my film gives an insight into what life for guys afraid of coming out is like and how it affects them, particularly their mental health. Although mental health and homosexuality is becoming more talked about, our society is still a harsh one that makes it difficult to broach the subjects. People like to ignore the fact that homophobia still exists. Social realism films force their audience to look at things and think about it and converse about it.
You mentioned your audience. Is genre important in establishing your audience?
The way I see it, there are multiple steps you need to take to establish your audience, and genre is a vital one. You have to decide on your genre, of course, and you look at existing films in the genre and distributors and venues and who the distributors' primary audiences are. You cannot, of course, substantiate a clear set audience type for these, as you're not involved in setting the target audience for them. However, it can be inferred from the audience type of the whole genre.
Could you expand on that?
Of course. What I mean is that from the research I conducted in the early stages of pre-production, I have established social realism has a very niche audience type, the majority of which are people with a background in film or media, who are therefore able to unpack representations and messages via technical codes because they're film literate. Not to say that people who are not film literate cannot do this, but the majority of the genre's audience is able to do this.
Specifically, what research did you carry out to come to this conclusion?
The most lucrative research I did for this was actually looking at the places that exhibit social realism films, both online and theatrical, as you can look at the reviews, the style of the theatre or cinema, etc., to judge the audience type. The majority of the comments on social realism text online include really intense film jargon that implies the majority of the audience is film literate.
And the audience of the exhibitors?
This one is less clear to substantiate. However, most independent film cinemas, such as Everyman and Picture House, market themselves and their films they screen using social media, mainly because it is extremely low budget, but also we can infer that they're aiming to attract a younger audience type, as the central users of social media are young people aged around 13 to 23. Now, although you might assume that the audience of the genre will be older because of the more mature subject matter, as opposed to films like The Avengers, which is pure entertainment aimed at around the same audiences as the independent cinemas, more films are being released now that are targeting young people with more mature subject matter. An example of this is The Hunger Games, for example. The concept of it is brutal and horrific, yet they target it at a young audience as entertainment. So why not target the social realism genre at younger audiences? And in fact, a lot of the subject matter is very relatable to younger people, and films such as Fish Tank and Kidulthood.
Okay, so what would be your next step?
Once you've established your genre and the audience for your genre, you would then, as I touched on, look at your own concept. Think about the themes and issues and who you expect these to relate to. So my main themes are homosexuality and the idea of gender. Well, that could apply to any age. So you look at the actors. Who will best be able to relate to your actors? You would assume the people of the same age group. So in my case, that would be 16, 17-year-olds.
Then what?
Then you would consolidate it all. You'd look at everything you have researched and discovered to come to your conclusion about your target audience.
And what was your conclusion?
Actually, at first my conclusion was a little inconclusive because I looked at everything I had and everything that I found out and find that I had quite a few audience types. But then I thought about how mainstream franchises have both a mass audience for their genre and a mass audience for their franchise, and these will cross over. So I concluded that I have an audience for my social realism genre and an audience for my subject matter. I have an older film literate audience and I have a 15 to 18-year-old audience who can relate to the coming of age story perhaps more than an older generation of people can. Not that they can't, but the subject matter is more relatable as they are coming of age. They're going through the struggles my characters are going through, so although they may not like my genre, as I discovered in my focus group, They can still relate to the subject matter and find an aspect of themselves in the characters.
Thank you, Chloe.